Miami Heat. Time for a reality check and a bold new direction. Miami. Remember when Erik Spoelstra talked about irrational thinking? It was that wild idea that a 37-45 record and a 10th place finish could somehow lead to playoff success. For a brief moment, the Miami Heat clung to that hope during their 2-week battle against the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that seemed to overshadow them like the legendary Chicago Bulls did back in the day. Spoelstra has a knack for rallying his team around the impossible, and it's this very belief that propelled the Heat to unexpected NBA Finals appearances in 2020 and 2023. But let's face it, sometimes, that kind of thinking can lead to harsh realities. The back-to-back record losses against the Cavaliers were a wake-up call, as painful as it was eye-opening. Those two crushing defeats were just as significant as the victories that got the Heat into the playoffs in the first place. After triumphing over the Chicago Bulls and Atlanta Hawks, fans dared to dream that this team could be a playoff contender. But the sobering truth hit hard after those home losses to the Cavaliers. Change is not just necessary, it's inevitable. Spoelstra himself acknowledged the situation, stating, "As an organization, yeah, we're going to look at this and say this is unacceptable. We got to get to another level." And with that, the time for rational thinking has arrived. Let's be real, the Heat were mediocre before the Jimmy Butler trade and even worse afterward. Now the big question looms, what's the next step? No more trying to balance youth and experience. Spoelstra, with a mix of solemnity and hope, pointed out the imbalance in the team. There's no way to fast-track it unless you go through it, and sometimes there's pain from that, he said, reflecting on the youth that clearly wasn't ready for the high-stakes playoff atmosphere. "I said it with a couple of young guys, we needed the 25-year-old version now. Can't do that, obviously. You've got to go through the experiences to get that." This season, we saw young talents like Kello were benched just minutes into Game 4, struggling to match up against seasoned players like Jarrett Allen. Nikola Jovic only found his rhythm during garbage time, and Jamie Jaquez Jr., once a rookie sensation, didn't even step onto the court until the Heat were down by 46 points. At one point, when hope was still alive, the mix of young and old players seemed like a bridge to a brighter future. But lurking beneath that optimism were concerns about the luxury tax, tax aprons, and future draft picks that were already promised elsewhere. It was a delicate balance to maintain. Listen closely to Butler, and you'll hear echoes of frustration. His joy seemed to fade, especially after witnessing the playoff success of teams like the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Heat face a crucial decision: how to reclaim that joy. One option is to take the fast track by trading promising young players like Ware and Jovic, along with draft picks, for a star player in the mold of Kevin Durant, regardless of the future implications. The other approach is to allow these young talents to develop into the 25-year-old Spoelstra wishes he had right now, even if it means enduring a few more years of growing pains. As Bam Adebayo, the last player to enter the interview room after the season-ending loss, put it, "There are going to be a lot of changes this summer. Just from my point of view, understanding how the guy with the silver hair works. So just be prepared for that." He's referring to Heat president Pat Riley, whose bold moves, like the trade for Butler in 2019, set the team on a path to 2 NBA Finals. But the recent trade of Butler left the Heat in a precarious position, barely scraping by against play-in opponents with losing records. For the past month, irrational thinking has taken the Heat on a roller coaster ride, from the highs of a 10th-place team daring to dream in the playoffs to the lows of the worst playoff defeat in NBA history. Now, it's time for rational thinking to take the lead. An overhaul is necessary, and the team must choose a clear direction, whether that's now or later. The choice is theirs to make.